Mercedes just banned Hamilton's F1 test with Ferrari after shocking decision. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Lewis Hamilton denied Ferrari test chance at end of F1 season due to Mercedes deal. Lewis Hamilton will not drive a Ferrari in the post-season Abu Dhabi test. Hamilton will join the Italian team next year, starting a new chapter of his Formula One career at the age of 40. And there are precedents for drivers getting the chance to get to grips with their new machinery once their final campaign with their current team is over. Fernando Alonso is a recent example. After announcing midway through the 2022 season that he had agreed to leave Alpine for Aston Martin, he was granted permission to drive a green F1 car for the first time at the Abu Dhabi test after that year's final race. Hamilton, however, will not get the same opportunity. Per BBC Sport, there is zero chance that the 7-time F1 champion will be allowed to get behind the wheel of a Ferrari, as he will still be under contract with Mercedes until the end of December. Plus, as it is no ordinary case of a driver leaving one team for another, there will be work to do to give Hamilton a proper send-off. This is his 11th season with the team, while he has spent his whole F1 career to date racing Mercedes-powered cars. But he has chosen to move on, and Mercedes will do so too after his contract expires. Andrea Kimi Antonelli has already been confirmed as the 7-time champion's replacement, and the Italian teenager will partner George Russell from 2025 onwards. Much is expected of Antonelli given his record in junior racing series and the hype that surrounds his early promotion to F1. To help the 18-year-old bed in as well as possible, team boss Toto Wolff says he will follow the same blueprint laid out by former McLaren boss Ron Dennis when he first promoted Hamilton to the sport back in 2007. The Austrian said, "Hamilton's growth in the junior categories and his impact in Formula One came at a time when you could test a lot more than Kimi has been able to do now." Ron at the time said Lewis needed to take it easy to get used to F1, also because Fernando Alonso was at McLaren. However, that never happened. Lewis was immediately competitive and a success. With the current preparation, Kimi can jump into our car and be competitive. However, F1 now is a different animal than it was at the time of Hamilton's debut. There are a lot more dimensions and facets compared to the past. There is more pressure and social media, so I think it is important to keep everything moving in the right direction, keep the right priorities, and avoid what is not essential. The goal is to create a new success story, as happened with Hamilton. The second story is Mercedes blocking early Ferrari F1 debut for Lewis Hamilton. Mercedes' contractual obligations mean Lewis Hamilton will be made to wait until 2025 to make his Formula One debut in Ferrari colours. Hamilton shocked the F1 world on the eve of the 2024 season when he announced he'd be departing Mercedes at the end of this year. The 7-time world champion, after 18 years associated with the German marque through its works team and McLaren, will join Ferrari in 2025, embarking on a multi-year deal. In the past, the Abu Dhabi post-season test has given drivers their first taste of new F1 machinery after a switch of teams, but that won't be the case for Hamilton. BBC Sport's Andrew Benson wrote there is zero chance of Hamilton making his Ferrari debut this December. Hamilton is under contract to Mercedes until the end of the year, and they say he cannot test for Ferrari at the end of the season, as they have a lot of promotional and farewell work to do after 12 years together and 18 with Mercedes engines. Other drivers have fared better when it comes to making an early switch to a new team. Fernando Alonso was testing with Aston Martin in the 2022 Abu Dhabi post-season test, right after hanging up his Alpine overalls for the final time. However, contractual and promotional obligations aside, it's in Mercedes' best interest to leave Hamilton's departure to Ferrari as late as possible, given the Scuderia is a direct rival of the Brackley-based F1 outfit. Williams seeking early Carlos Sainz debut amid Lewis Hamilton Ferrari switch. Lewis Hamilton isn't the only one making a major F1 career move this off-season. The man Hamilton's replacing at Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, is heading to Williams on a multi-year deal starting in 2025. Williams team principal James Vowles is eager to get Sainz within the Grove-based outfit as soon as possible. To that end, Vowles has entered discussions with Ferrari in order to release the Spaniard from his contract for the post-season test. We still have to agree terms with Ferrari. He's under contract at Ferrari until the end of 2024, Vowles told media, including Motorsport Week. However, I do hope to see him in the car in Abu Dhabi. There's no such hope for Hamilton to be in scarlet red in Abu Dhabi, meaning his debut will come via Ferrari's shakedown of its 2025 machine. The seven-time world champion will be sharing the Tifosi affection with Charles Leclerc as he embarks on the next chapter of his glittering F1 career. In an ideal world, the most successful F1 driver of all time would end his time at the team with which he has enjoyed unparalleled success by going out in his final Grand Prix and winning another world championship, or at the very least the race itself. But for Lewis Hamilton, whose time at Mercedes has just 6 races to run before his move to Ferrari in 2025, he will not win this year's F1 title. Mathematically, it is possible as there are 180 points up for grabs, and he is 151 behind leader Max Verstappen. Realistically, however, his weight will go on to secure a record-breaking 8th driver's crown. A win, maybe 2, is possible in the final chapter of the Hamilton-Mercedes dynasty, but hopes of a fairy tale ending are fanciful. In the white-hot environment of elite sport 9 times out of 10, that ending can sometimes leave a bitter taste in the mouth. The ultimate fairy tale ending in F1 would be to win the world championship off your friend turned teammate turned rival, then drop the bombshell decision to retire a few days later, just as Nico Rosberg achieved in 2016. How that one hurt Hamilton. Other champions who won the title and then quit include Sir Jackie Stewart and Alain Prost. But it is usually in F1 that dynasties are left to crumble into ruins rather than going out in a blaze of glory. Take Ferrari in the Michael Schumacher heyday. After trouncing the field for the 5th straight year, in 2004, drastic changes were made for 0-5 that brought Schumacher only a single win, the travesty of the United States GP, the infamous 6-car race. Although Ferrari bounced back for 0-6, it is a team that arguably still has not recovered, nearly 20 years on. There is also the case of Sebastian Vettel and Red Bull in 2014, as the 4-time champion suffered a severe case of lost mojo, and even though the equipment was subpar, he was never able to recapture the form that made him the man to beat. With one team, Mercedes, Hamilton eclipsed both of their achievements with 6 world titles and 84 race wins and counting, as well as accumulating a host of other records, most of which have come to the attention of Max Verstappen. But as sport tells us, iconic figures do not always get a triumphant farewell. The third story is Mercedes technical director James Allisson is hopeful that the team can enjoy a good weekend at the upcoming United States Grand Prix as they prepare to bring a substantial set of updates to the event. The Silver Arrows endured a disappointing race last time out in Singapore, with the decision to start Lewis Hamilton on the soft tyre failing to pay off en route to the 7-time world champion, finishing in 6th, while George Russell came home in 4th in what he later called an evening of damage limitation. Toto Wolff also labelled the Grand Prix as a really painful evening for the team, adding that the W15 was just slow. As such, Allisson admitted in Mercedes' post-race debrief that the squad planned to examine why they faced these issues in the break between Singapore and Austin, as well as preparing the upgrade that they hope will perform well at the Circuit of the Americas. In the break, we'll be trying to figure out how to mitigate what ailed us this weekend in Singapore, how to figure out how to make the tyres run better on these sort of overheating circuits, and we'll be also doing quite a lot of work to bring our last upgrade of the season together, Allisson explained. We've got a fairly substantial set of new clothes for the car coming for Austin that we hope will give us a decent weekend there, so we've got to deliver all that and get ourselves ready for these last few races of the year. With Singapore having marked Hamilton's 350th race start, Allisson is also hopeful that Austin can provide an opportunity to celebrate this in happier style, given the disappointing outcome at Marina Bay. Lewis has had a career that I think won't ever be matched by any other driver, and for him to have done it all with one engine supply, with Mercedes engines, is I think particularly remarkable. Allisson reflected ahead of Hamilton's final 6 races with the team before his move to Ferrari in 2025. We are coming towards the end of our journey with him, and almost every weekend is a milestone never to be repeated with Lewis. It's just a shame that it happened on a weekend where the car was not more bright, and my hope is that we won't have to go too far beyond the 350th. Maybe we can celebrate the 351st in greater style in Austin.